everybody knows who's the biggest dog on that starting line, and you're looking at him right now. Miles Batty broke a record that has stood at a collegiate mile record for 28 years. This year, when he ducked under 3:55, running 3 minutes 54 seconds for the mile, 3:54.54 seconds.
And there's a list of competitors, and you have to say, I mean, Miles Batty did a lot of work yesterday. He ran a mile qualifier, he ran on the DMR, but he trains and lives in Provo, Utah. So right. This altitude is actually lower than there.
He's coming down about, they're 4,600 feet at Provo, so he's dropping 2,000 feet. You notice the difference when you go for a jog here from sea level. You notice the difference there too. 32 seconds. It is often this way at the NCAA. Almost all these guys have run maybe twice and certainly once already at the mile distance in less than 24 hours. Tough. As he did last year. You're looking at Chris O'Hare, originally from Scotland, ran 3:48 1,500 meter in high school, recruited, and now a junior there, and he got second last year to Batty by the narrowest of margins. No doubt he is very motivated to get an NCAA title here.
So it's Chris O'Hare in the early going, followed closely by the senior from Providence, David McCarthy. Miles Batty, very smart, just hanging off the shoulder of the young man from Boston, Rich Peters.
62.7 for the first 440 yards. So they're just kind of out there for a little jog. That's the kind of talent level that's here. 10 athletes, as I said in the open, ran 3:59.10 or slower between 3:59 and 4 minutes and could not get into the NCAA. First time in history anything like that has happened.
Robbie Crease is running a little extra distance, but staying out of trouble as he's kind of hanging between third and fourth place. But Chris O'Hare continues to set the pace. Miles Batty's happy to just follow back there, staying out of trouble around fourth or fifth place. Be interesting to see how much kick he has left after the races he ran yesterday. But most of the guys in this final also were in the DMR for their teams.
Setting up for a very fast finish. 5 of these 11 athletes are foreigners, and there's quite a bit of recruiting that goes on to find talented athletes at the teenage level that can qualify academically and come to the United States if they choose, and they're good enough.
Has changed here. Chris O'Hare continuing to be marked by David McCarthy. Miles Batty has now moved into sort of third or fourth.
He's got himself in great position, this Batty, and he's actually acting as a blocking agent a bit for anybody else. 3 laps to go here in the men's mile of the NCAAs.
And if you're behind him, he's a big guy to try and think about getting around as well, as Peters now drops in to third on his own. But Batty running, as I mentioned, a little bit further sometimes, but keeping himself out of trouble, being able to feel what's going on behind him.
Dwight, the pace really hasn't picked up a lot. 2:05 at the 880 it was, and it's going to be a phenomenal last 440 yards coming up to now.
Andrew Bayer gave himself in a little bit of trouble. He doesn't really have a way out of this small box that's been built for him. Chris O'Hare starting to wind it up a little bit, but no one has been dropped. The main contenders right there. They cover the move. And now Chris O'Hare has to realize he has pushed the wind aside for everybody for a long time. Eric Van Ingen now for Binghamton making a move to get in there. Batty now already looking like he maybe doesn't have enough left in the tank, struggling a little bit as he goes wide with just coming up to the bell. And Chris O'Hare is in full sprint with 200 meters to go.
Batty puts himself in position, about 28.2 for that last 200 meters. One more 200 to go.
Deja vu all over again. It's Chris O'Hare followed by Miles Batty. Does Batty have enough left in the tank?
And look at O'Hare.
And Sam McEntee maybe steals this race if he's got enough left in there. Here comes Peters on the inside. It's going to be Chris O'Hare. Miles Batty is diving at the tape, but O'Hare wins it. He turns the table on Batty in 2012 and wins it. Peters gets the second place finish in the dive, and Batty finishes third.
Approximately 55.2 for Batty's last 440 yards. What an effort.